Well, I'm sitting here thinking about my garden and ways to document it as I sit in my hammock hanging from my pergola. And I thought I'd just start taking a few short videos every time I go out in the garden to document my progress. And so this is kind of an introduction. I want to see if I can angle this to show there are my grapes going up the pergola. I have 6 posts, 2 behind me, and then if I turn all the way around on the other hammock, and I've got 2 more posts. Oh, the sun is in my eyes. And one thing that needs doing is the grapevines need pruning and tying up to train up the pergola. I've been doing it regularly, once to twice a year, and I've already done it this early spring, but it needs doing again. So that's one thing to do. And then the other big project I'm working on is irrigation. I'll try to turn this. Maybe I'll flip it better. So this is my garden. It's really overgrown. I'm not growing anything in it this year on these beds. I am in that back bed. I've got some lettuce and peas and peppers, and I'm going to put some tomatoes in there, but the rest of it, even that bed, is really wild this year. But that's not the point. The point is I am digging out. You can see all the weeds growing up in the pathways. That's because I raked all the mulch away to dig an irrigation basin under the pathways. So once I get that level correct so that the flood irrigation fills the whole area, then I'm going to cover it all again with mulch, and that'll keep the weeds down. But right now I'm just dealing with a bunch of weeds. So I'm panning the camera so you can see I've dug this hole, this trench, not a hole. And it comes from, and then the table's in the way, the irrigation pump, which is out there. It's just to the left of that bucket. The bucket's covering the power to the pump. And so I've got this irrigation pump. We get irrigation water every Thursday. And you can see that blue Life Flat irrigation hose that I take and put around to different areas of the yard to water it. But I want to make a system that's a lot more passive and simple for me to operate. So I've started digging these channels. You can see the one. So I have a basin around every post to irrigate the grapes. So it starts here at this post, and then I have a channel that goes down to near that last post, in front of the last post, kind of to the right of that pot. And then the main channel continues on along behind the pergola. Here's another offshoot to irrigate this middle front grapevine. And then it continues along back behind. Let's stand up so you don't just see table. Behind the pergola, and then down toward the garden. And so one of my main projects is to dig out, like I said already, that irrigation basin for the garden. And then in the other area of the lawn, I guess I'll stand up. I'm going to grab my hat. And I'll show you the rest of the project. So I've been moving this irrigation hose to water different areas. So I've got this fig tree and mulberry tree and serviceberry and yarrow here. And there's a trench behind those that I fill, that I put the hose at one end and it irrigates those. And I have this double apple tree guild that I've dug a trench around. It's not leveled appropriately yet, so water doesn't fill this front area. It just goes around the back. And then this is the big project. This is going to be a flagstone pathway to the house. And I've started digging this channel. So I don't know yet where the start point will be. It might be at that apple guild, or I might extend it back farther toward the pergola. But this is it's going to be an irrigation spine. So this channel I'm going to fill with angular aggregate, angular crushed rock, I guess, instead of a pea gravel, more angled so it stays in place. I'm going to fill that channel, and then over the top of that I will put flagstone and then fill the cracks again with the angular aggregate, or maybe some sand if I need a finer material to fill. And that'll be our pathway, and it will also be the main irrigation channel of our yard. And then along the pathway I'm going to dig, and I've already started digging, basins for each of my fruit trees. And so many weeds have come up because I had to remove the mulch to do this digging. But there's one basin for a peach tree. Now there's a catalpa volunteer that I'm eventually going to cut down, I think, but for now I'm leaving it. And then a giant clary sage in front of it, but the basin's for that peach tree that you can kind of see in the back. And then the next one is for my pear tree, which has pear blister mite infestation, which is annoying, but it's not really a risk to the tree. It just doesn't look nice. And this basin, you can see I've started digging. Got the channel. The main channel comes along here, and then I've dug the inlet to the basin. There's the basin that'll eventually be mulched over and planted with water happy species. I've got around the base of that pear tree is some lemon balm, which I need to clear out because there's too much of it, but maybe keep some of it that's a little farther away from the tree. And then the third basin that I've started digging is this apricot, and I'm experimenting because I was hitting roots and I didn't want to disturb the roots of the tree, so I couldn't make the basin as big as I wanted. This is a little bit shallower and wider. So I've got this channel, I've got a stepping stone I didn't want to disturb because I like that location for pruning the tree and harvesting and whatnot. So I dug a deeper channel along here next to my steak. And so we'll see how that works. All of these will just be filled with mulch and then planted around the edges mostly. And then the middle spine, of course, is filled with crushed rock and then paved over with flagstone stepping stones. I'm repeating myself a bit, but I'm really excited about this project. It's long and slow. You can see the darker soil where the water kind of floods, so I need to build up some areas. So that's why I've got this wheelbarrow of extra soil that I've taken out from the garden and I'm adding in places. This flagstone here just is marking where there's a sprinkler, and I don't really want to use the sprinklers very much, but I still have that system to use if we need to fall back on it. It's still the canal water, so we only have access to it on Thursdays, but I'm planning to kind of pave around it with smaller flagstone pieces. It's buried. It just gets buried. I don't want to dig it up right now to show you, but it's there. So, yeah, that's about it for the garden tour today. And maybe I'll try to do one of these every week or so, and then just smaller snippets of what I'm working on. I'm just showing kind of a view of the garden before I end completely. And at some point I'll do a more thorough tour of the garden. It's all quite wild at this point. I try to keep it mowed back where there isn't mulch and plantings as well as I can, but there's the garden, and we'll see you next time.